What's up, mortgage coach community? I am sitting down with the one and only Todd Duncan for the 2022 halftime report. What's up, Todd?
Hey, Dave. Amazing. We're already halfway through the year. It feels like it's gone by faster than anything I can remember. And markets like we're in, I think speed it up a little bit for some people and slow it way down for others. But I can't believe we're halfway here already.
It is. I think some of that's just age. I turned 58 a few weeks ago, and it feels like every year goes faster. But this year, it's been, I'm not going to say the word crazy because I'm trying to use more better language. Like, it's been a complex and fast moving market that I'm very excited about. Some people would say it's been crazy, but it's been quite a market, right?
I think it's okay. You know, the age old thought that on every side of crazy is calm at some point, and if you're calm too long, just prepare because it will get crazy. And I think the other thing is with every blessing comes a curse, and with every curse comes a blessing. And a lot of people are sure seeing what happened with the blessing of refis over the last 2 years, and now the curse of trying to get back, sharpen those skills, get back to purchase business, get back in front of their referral clients. And but it's good, the bad, and the ugly, I think, at every season. And we just got to decide how we get through it, how we grow through it, and how we have, if we can, have fun experiencing it.
Yeah, well, I am having fun experiencing it. And it's been, to me, it really is an exciting time because this is a time where people that choose to do the right things, focus on the right things, are gonna kill it. And this is where you may not close more loans than last year, but you can pick up market share like no tomorrow in this market. So Todd, I'm doing this halftime report. It's a partnership and a collaboration with Kristen Messerly. Her and I have interviewed a lot of CEOs in the mortgage company. Clayton Collins, media mogul, Garth Graham. We started with, it was really a C-suite project to kind of unify some of the data and the trends and the opportunities. But I also did interview Shant Benoshian, Jeremy Forcier, and some originators. So we are perspectives from the executive level, perspectives from the trenches. And I want to really ask you 3 questions and kind of go through this. Like, what we want to land on recommendations and opportunities. So that's going to be the last chapter of this conversation. But I want to talk about data points and trends, and some of them are not positive. Some of them do create opportunities. What are the first data points and trends that come to mind for Todd Duncan?
Well, I think the first data points that come to mind for me is in tough markets, you have less competition. That's a huge data point. And the people that don't know how to do the business when we get into tough markets cannot legitimately compete with you. And so have the mindset that one of the good things about a market like we're in is if you're game on and the traditional competitor is not, you will have less competition. So that's one of the data points. Another data point that we have that's about 2 weeks old is 93% of real estate agents right now have told us that they would like to meet with the lender and figure out the next 18 months of their career. So if anybody's watching this and understanding that at the end of the day, relationships matter, they always have, they always will, the very clients that we used to call on that we got a little bit sidetracked with during refis are the very clients that are saying today, please get back, please come back, please help us build our business, because their business is changing too. They're going to be going to a balanced seller buyer market probably in the next 8 to 12 months. And we got some price sensitivities, got some seller pricing coming down, and anybody right now who doesn't think there's enough buyers to buy homes to have you have a great year right now is sadly mistaken. And so that data point is there's no time like now to double down on relationships and get them going, and make sure that you're asking the new kinds of questions that are the innovative questions out of high trust that really get you alongside somebody on where their pain points are, what they want to do, how comfortable do they feel doing it, and how can you come alongside them and help? And that's what selling is, it's helping. So I think that's the big deal right now that I'm excited about. And then of course, the third thing is just this massive diversification that we're seeing going on into the consumer direct market, consumer centric marketing. And that, to me, I predicted in 1994, Dave, that would be a trend that we would arrive at, and we've arrived at it now by mandate. But it's been happening every year since I talked about it in 1994. And that is, how many other non-traditional sources are there for you to have a blockbuster relationship with? And then how much more leverageable are those buyers and sellers when you become the point person that gets to spin the referral? So those are things I'm bullish on right now.
What about, okay, so there's 3 great Todd Duncan data points, and I loved it. And no surprise, you brought up some perspectives I hadn't heard before, which I think will be valuable to both C-suite executives and originators. What about some trends? Obviously the, mobile first trend. I had actually analyzed the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel a couple days ago, and our views are up 46% over last year, halftime, which I thought was phenomenal. But for the first time in the history of the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, we flipped to mobile is like 47%. And it used to be close, like I can still remember when mobile was like 5 and 10% of the views, and then 20 and then 30. And we've now flipped to where mobile is, the most videos are watched via mobile. Another trend that I actually I wasn't surprised at that because we were close to it flipping last year, but TV, and I'm assuming it's Apple TV, is up 50%. People are watching Mortgage Coach YouTube channels on Apple TV. But what are some other trends that you see in housing, mortgage, and real estate that you think opens up opportunities for loan officers in this market?
Well, I think the first thing is the opportunity today is to figure out the secret sauce for committing, connecting, and converting more quickly. And I think that with speed becoming such a kind of a constant out there and everybody expecting to do things fast, we can't miss the point that we still got to find out what drives the human, right? We still have to have empathy. We still have to have transparency. We still have to speak truth. None of those elements of trust and bonding and any of those things go away. What technology's done is it's allowed us to have fascinating compressed learning. We can learn anywhere at any time. We can maximize our time waiting in lines or waiting in traffic by watching mobile. We can do things very beautiful and quick on the front end, like TCAs and those types of things to get the word out with mobile that there are strategies you can follow today, even though the market's kind of crazy. And I think that mobile is going to continue to be the big gateway through which much collateral and content and learning is done. We're doing some things right now, and we're building exclusively for mobile only. And we've got a lot of reports. Yeah, we got a lot of reports telling us that is the way that within about 18 months, that's going to be where most business people are. So we're looking at that, and at the same time, we're looking at, with the speed of things today, there's a propensity to try to speed along the conversation. And what we're finding, Dave, is 2 things. One is you can speed the conversation along and not have it create any less trust. But if you try to speed it along with the wrong strategy, it'll backfire and you won't have that trust. So it's a very fine line right now that we're watching in the ecosystems that we're testing. And we are right now, and we'll present these results and findings at Sales Mastery, but we have been for 2 years taking the amount of dialogue that a loan officer has with a borrower, and we've been intentionally paring it back, all the way down to what we now call the 10-question close. And I don't like the word closing because I don't think you close people. I think people buy when they're excited and they trust the source. But if we can get a conversation down to one question that is well thought out, that sets in motion trust to the point that the borrower's never experienced it, and the lender looks at the borrower and the borrower looks at the lender and there's emotion there. And then the lender says to the buyer, in this case, I'll give you one example, they would be the first couple in their family's history to own a home. And so when the conversation had started, it was all about owning a home, and then we would be the first persons in our lineage to own one. And so the loan officer just let the tears fly for about 2 minutes, and he just sat there, and you could feel it, right? And then all he said was, I'm going to help you get that home. Are you ready to get started? Now, in the world of conversion, and in the world of, speed of conversion, in the world of capacity, I'd like everybody thinking halftime. I'd like them to think, what would happen if your entire sales force could cut by half the time it takes to get a consumer locked and loaded on your brand? How much more productivity would you have if you were able to do that? And so that's an innovation we're working on just in the high trust model, that it used to be have the right conversation, and now it's, you can still have the right conversation, but don't drag it out.
Right.
Don't drag it out.
I love that. I love the 10 question, whether you call it close or 10 questions to high trust and client for life,
the 10 word close.
Oh, the 10 word. Yeah. Okay. Well, I like 10 question close too. 10 word close.
Well, you can have 10 different ones, but they're still, and it's fascinating, Dave. And if we had more time, I'd share a couple more with you, but every one of them is 10 words, and every one of them absolutely uncorks emotional connection.
Well, guys, so if you have not signed up for Sales Mastery, make sure you do. You just got 10 more reasons to be at that event. When we wrap up, Todd, I do want to make sure everyone knows what's going on this year at Sales Mastery. But one thing I wanted to ask you, I feel like the trust index, I don't know if there is a trust index, but as to me, the creator of high trust, the author of high trust selling, what do you think trust is in the world right now compared to the beginning of the year versus middle of the year? And are there any indexes out there that we should be paying attention to, any data points from a high trust perspective?
Yeah, I think the stuff that comes to mind immediately are in the one-to-one contact world that we're in. There's a depth of thirst desired by potential partners that's greater than any time it's been tracked, and we've been tracking it for 10 years. So today, the real estate agent, the builder, whomever else it might be, desires a deeper and better relationship with their lending providers and or partners. And so that's a huge opportunity for us to be able to really accelerate how fast we get into that. The second piece of data that we have is the trusting the ability to absorb and withstand the financial pressure that comes along with buying a home right now. So there is a greater level of distrust today because of the economy, because of unemployment, because of cost of goods. There's a level of distrust, not in the lender per se, but just in one's self as to whether or not they can afford the house and afford a 50% increase in all their basic costs and goods for living. And so that's a trust lever that has come down. And then I think right now there's also a deeper opportunity for almost every lender. There's a much deeper opportunity for you to be the constant supplier of renewed trust between your clients that you helped get into a home and that client that is still in a home but hasn't heard from you. And what we're watching in Elite this year, Dave, is we're watching what magnifies and what actually amplifies when there is a demonstrative level of trust put out by the lender to really, really build a substantial tribe that is close to the vest, huge in terms of referral generation, and is committed to the brand. And I think that, you and I've been talking about this for 20 years. I talked in 94 about, he who owns the relationship controls the destiny of the loan and all the affiliated services. And that prediction then is now a mandate today, that the world is changing so fast that the traditional way our traditional partners have gotten buyers and sellers is blowing up. It's changing a lot. And we as lenders have to figure that piece out so we can get into that framework with them and bring that alive for them, because if it's changing for us, we know it's changing for them. And I just think it's a better business model in the long run to have a bunch of partners that don't facilitate the buying or selling of property, but have the clients that do, and to watch the economic value that can be created by the lender when they have that ecosystem and they're building it. And, you and I have a mutual friend that 2 years ago had 1,600 people in his database. And today he's got 27,000 in his database in just 18 months. And, last week they averaged 147 calls a day to do loans. And you just think about that. It's a hard market, but if you can have 140 people in one day call interested in loans, it's happening because you're in touch with them and they're non-traditional partners, and you're adding value and making that your farm instead of the traditional real estate agent. And I'm not poo-pooing the agents. I just think there's a new partnership on the horizon, and it's got at least 3 players in it, whereas in the past it's had 2.
Yeah, and guys, we're talking about Wally Illiberry, a mutual client of ours, one of Todd's coaching clients and a mortgage coach. In fact, I interviewed Wally a couple of weeks ago, and you bring up a good point. I'm going to get one last question, and then we're going to talk a little sales mastery, because I really think we are in the era in the mortgage industry where lenders need to think seriously about CRM. Really need to rethink it. And I would say CRM is as important as ever. It's actually more important than ever, but you need to go beyond just being able to take action on your clients. Because here's the deal. This is what every realtor's database looks like. This is what every loan officer's database looks like. This is what Zillow and Rocket's database looks like. And every loan officer now with Sales Boomerang, you can have this type of data. When I did that interview with Wally, not only can you get the data, so like who is most likely to move up right now? Because we know what their equity is, we know what their credit score is, we know their age, we can predict who's likely to be a cash out refi, who's likely to move down, who's likely to move up. Even credit triggers, inquiries, listing alerts. I mean, those are great, but I think we're at this point where what you've been teaching for multiple decades, client for life, like there's no excuse, guys. If you've got a CRM, if you've got a mortgage coach, if you've got a sales boomerang, you have a home bot, you've got the modern technology, it's really realistic. Any comments or thoughts on that? Any push from Todd Duncan to kind of upgrade and make your client database your number one priority in this era?
No, I mean, no. And that's why I said it. What would that be? It'd be 28 years ago. That's why I said it 28 years ago, because when I left lending, I had 6,000 clients that I had done business with in my database when I left lending. That made that business worth something, even with me not being there. And I think what people need to understand is that we want our clients for life, which is easy to hear and hard to execute, but simple, right? And we in order to have our clients for life, we have to talk to them during their life. Again, very simple and embarrassing for most loan originators that don't do it very, very well. And then the third thing is, if we switch gears and call that the primary market, we have less competition. We have a much different profile of a borrower. We have much less negotiation and shopping going on. And we're actually complementing the other 50% of the client's financial picture, which is the asset side and the debt side. And so it makes all the sense in the world for me to be a debt manager and a financial planner to be an asset manager and be in sync with each other, and doing the things that matter, like quarterly reviews on your mortgage, like efficiency checkups, like real estate dreams and goals, and thinking about where does this tribe want to go? Because I got to tell you right now, if you've got 1,000 people in your database and you're loving on them and you're touching them like 3 or 4 times a year, meaningfully, personally, video or voicemail or something like that, and every one of those people can find just one person for you, which is not very difficult. Think about your business. Think about what it would be like, because you're in touch with them. You've made them the priority. That for everyone that you have done that with, they can guarantee spinning off one loan back to you a year. And if over half of those don't have realtors, then think of the power you have to decide which real estate agent to give it to. And these are the things, Dave, that are now mandated. You can't. Anybody who doesn't follow what we're talking about right now is going to be left behind.
Yeah, I can't wait for Sales Mastery this year. And I want everyone listening to this, I want you to go through your database and really start thinking about, one, the story that's already happened and the story that's left to happen. All those stars, those are real estate transactions. That's a chance to give a referral to a realtor. Every little map here is a refinance opportunity. It's a transaction for a mortgage professional. And here's the deal, guys. If you want to be that captain of the wealth team that Todd's talking about, you need to, it is the time. So Todd, I think Sales Mastery is the most important event in the mortgage industry every year. This is the 30th anniversary. I mean, it's a place that I launched Mortgage Coach from that stage 25 years ago. It'll be the 25th anniversary of Mortgage Coach. But what's special about Sales Mastery this year, and what do you say to any executive listening, any loan officer listening, as to, like, if there was ever a year to go to Sales Mastery, this is the one. As the guy who's designing this experience, why this year should we all come to Sales Mastery?
Yeah, and I guess the first question I have is why not? And then the second thing I would follow up with is, we designed Sales Mastery to give everybody a playbook for the year or 2 to come. And the reason why it's always in October is because we want everybody to have 3 months towards the end of the year to really get the stuff dialed in, so that when 2023 rolls around, they're ready to go. This year is more important than any year, I believe, Dave, because of the obvious trends that we're seeing happen with not only technology, we're seeing it happen with just the economics of doing loans. How much is it costing? We're not certain as an industry right now, beyond just waiting for it to recover, which I don't want anybody to do, on what our next moves are. And so we're going to be focusing on a lot of CX stuff, like what are we really doing today to not only blow the customer's mind, but leverage the customer into a lead magnet for us. And what does that begin to look like? We'll show you the data points. We'll show you the lures. We'll show you how to get that going. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to start looking at everybody's personal customer experience commitments. And even though you might have a national brand that that puts an effort out to have a beautiful customer experience, the biggest question is, does the loan officer have that? And does he or she run the business the same way? And so we've done something we've never done. And there's not an industry this year that is doing what we're doing. There's not an event this year that's doing what we're doing. We're bringing in the Chick-fil-A organization, and they're going to spend 2.5 hours over 2 different days talking about how to operationalize your business by taking a look at the fine details, every one of which matters. And the guy that's going to be speaking is Mark Miller, who's been the head of training and design for Chick-fil-A for 44 years. And it's just going to be awesome, because if you can sit down and figure out, here's what the best organizations in the world have as a game plan and a runway, this is how they do it. So we're gonna look at that hard and heavy, and then we're gonna look at the new style of closing, and we're gonna really have people practice what's it look like to, instead of taking 30 minutes to connect with the customer, what would happen if it only took 5, and how many more could you do, and would you be interested in that kind of speed, which is an efficiency on words in the high trust interview. We've got team building stuff. We've got we've got a gal that funded 1,000 loans last year and was 82% purchase. And we're going to unpack how do you fund a 1,000 loans in a year. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to take it down to a couple rookies that made commitments, last year to hit something this year. And even with the economy, they're going to do it. And so there's a little bit for everybody, and we've got some other surprises. But Dave, you and I always talk about this, and the reason why mastery matters is because it's community, and the reason we get together is because it's community. And what people really desire is to hang out with people that want to be winners, and that's what mastery is about. So plenty of time at the desert to golf and go to the spa and hang out and have drinks and do all that kind of stuff. For me, Dave, it's going back to the hotel we started it at in 1992. That feels very serendipitous to me. So yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So
Hey,
any
Todd.
CEO, I mean, if you want your teams to be prepared going into 2023, we're gonna bring the playbook. So please trust us to trust your team, and let's do it.
So guys, I will be there like every year. I've been there. And Todd, you just had a call out in 1992. I want to show you a picture. We just moved. We're actually moving into our new house tomorrow. But Kelly was going through the garage last week, and look at a picture. I forgot this picture even existed. But look at this picture from 1992. And guys, this was the year I did a photo shoot. I had landed on my advice makes a difference. Like I had landed on that value prop. And this was about 5 or 6 years before I started Mortgage Coach. And you'll notice I had the Mont Blanc pen, I had the $1,000 suit, I had the gold watch, I had the computer. That was my baby. I mean, that was always my superpower, is how do I make my advice make a difference and make that simple. So I thought you'd like this photo. I actually wasn't planning to show it. You called out 1992 and I just had to pull it up. But that was my first year in Sales Mastery. And guys, I would just tell you this: if you're watching this and you're an executive, this is a year to get your loan officers at that event in person. We're all the things Todd said, but we're also coming out of COVID. Like we haven't been able to connect with our team. So it's a great opportunity to connect with your team. It's, we all know that we can learn a lot on Zoom. Heck, I'm working harder than ever to help your team learn. Todd's working harder than ever, following Todd on social media, his group, everything Todd's doing. But there's nothing like an in-person connection. And that's the other thing, guys. There's a lot of events in the marketplace, and I love Vegas, but when you actually have to work a little bit to get to a destination, and then you get to a destination like Desert Springs, Marriott, where it's just about connection and it's about transformation. So I hope to see a lot of executives there. I hope to see a lot of mortgage coaches there. We're going to have more stickers, more shirts, no borrower left behind. I'll make sure anybody that wants to represent will have good stuff for you there. And Mr. Duncan, thank you, brother. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, it's a good year to be in the mortgage business, and what we do now is going to set the hook for how great we become next year. I've been studying recessions. The longest one I can find was called the Panic of 1795. They happen, they're real, and we get through them. And I think for everybody, let this be your learning time to really redefine and reinvent the way you add value. Really double down on relationships, because when times are tough, people need relationship. And really, Dave, you and I've always been about get your skill level up so you can talk about the things that matter most right now. And if you do that and just repeat that every day, the business is going to thrive. There's no way you can fail.
So guys, I want any loan officers listen to this, and I want you to look at what is the number of price exceptions. What are you costing your company in price exceptions? And if you're not in the top 10%, it's your sales score. Like the best salespeople create value. And that would be one more last push before we wrap this up is if you're a loan officer, know this number. If you're an executive, know your conversion rates, know your price exceptions. And if you're in the top 10% on conversion, and they are in the top 10% on price exceptions in terms of low cost, you're not costing your company a lot of money. You're great sales skills. But if you're in the middle, if you're in the bottom, guys, you need to upgrade that. So Todd, thanks for your time, brother. Always appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Talk soon. See you, Dave.
Take care, everybody.